Yo, it's your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatics. Back at you with a new video. Today is Saturday, February 24th, 2024, with your boy Ryan and the Northwest Sports Fanatics. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button either now or on your way out. Donate to your boy if you can. Cash App $sign ORION NWSF or the YouTube Super Chat right here. We got the Minnesota Wild versus the Seattle Kraken. Puck drop is going to be here in just a couple of minutes. I hope everyone is having a fantastic Saturday night. A lot of MLB action and NHL action today. And then I ended up watching Elimination Chamber on the replay earlier. So I got that all in as well. And we got some NHL action to kind of cap off our Saturday night. And the cool thing about this particular matchup is that we're actually going to see the Winter Classic uniforms for the very first time since we played the Vegas Golden Knights there on the beginning of the new year on January 1st. So this will only be the second time this season that we're going to see these jerseys. At this point, I don't know if we're going to see them a third time. I would assume this will be the last time that we see them this year. But hell, if they want to end up throwing these out, during the playoffs or towards the end of the year, I'm all for it. I think these are one of the more stylish, really good-looking jerseys, and I'm ready to go. Let's get it, baby. Let's go. Air Jordan in the building. How are you? Let's go. Oh, did they announce that they're going to wear it 3 times? I mean, I don't know how many times they're going to wear it, but hell, if they can wear it 3 times, 4 times, I actually think that it would be cool. I mean, it's a special jersey, so I know it's not going to be something that's going to take place a home jersey or anything like that. But if they were able to implement the jersey as like like a throwback alternate, where maybe we got to see it like 10 times a year in the future, that would be awesome. But we're probably not going to end up getting that. But I guess never say never. But I'm very excited to be able to see these jerseys on the ice. And obviously, the last time that we were able to see these were against the Vegas Golden Knights. And you remember what happened when we ended up wearing these jerseys against the Vegas Golden Knights during the Winter Classic. We ended up beating that ass. So I think these jerseys are good luck. They're very stylish. I love them. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Sarah in the building, Jordan in the building, Megan in the building. Let's go. How are you? Let's get it. Did you get a chance to Air Jordan, Sarah? Did you guys get a chance to already watch the replay, or did you guys stay up late and end up watching Elimination Chamber live? I just couldn't. I was still kind of awake around the time, but I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to stay up for 4 hours at 2 a.m. I was already kind of tired with Paisley, so I figured I would just wake up early, take Paisley for a walk, and then try to watch the Mariners against the White Sox for the first, preseason Major League Baseball spring training game where the Mariners lost by a run, but it was close. And then I ended up watching Elimination Chamber. Pretty good pay-per-view overall. Again, it's like, how often are you going to get a 10 out of 10 out of a WWE pay-per-view? And right now, WWE is king. I like AEW, but the way that AEW is structuring their TV shows, they don't have enough of their big superstars on the daily, and they're really suffering because, like I said, even a guy like me who's AEW all the way, I don't really have a whole lot of interest in watching a lot of AEW nowadays, because when I look at a potential card on like Collision or Dynamite or anything that they got going, and I see maybe one big name, out of the whole show, that's not a good look. It's like, I love, Daniel Bryan, aka Bryan Danielson, but when I'm looking at like a Collision card, or I'm looking and the only real, name that's on there is him, that's a bad sign for AEW. And again, when they're on top, they got to have Moxley, they got to have, Bryan Danielson, they got to have Kenny Omega, they got to have the Young Bucks. You literally have to have everyone, and then you're probably still losing the ratings battle with WWE, but at least it's a little bit closer. So, it is what it is. I still, will try to watch as much AEW as I can, but I'll be honest, WWE has been a hell of a lot better. And I think the only question mark I really have from, and I guess I don't want to do any spoilers because I don't know if anyone in the room has finished it yet or hasn't watched it. So maybe let me look at the comments first before I start blabbing on what happened. I know social media exists, but again, seeing a results or a picture or a small video doesn't really tell the full story on the matches that happen. But Tiffany Stratton, she's the real deal. And at some point or another, she's Charlotte Flair 2.0. She's going to end up being world champ, for the women's at some point. But pretty good pay-per-view overall. Let's go. Let's smash that like button, baby. Let's get it. Matt in the building. What's good? I know it was beautiful. It was a beautiful day. See, that's what I was kind of thinking too. Especially when you know who's in the matches, but yeah, and then I think that there was, for I think what did we have 5 matches? So there's been people on social media that have complained, but there was a lot of time like in between the matches. There was a lot of commercials, promos, the interviews that So if you really look at it, I think they were breaking it down where we only really had like an hour and 45 or an hour and 50 minutes of wrestling, like actual wrestling, and then the other 2 hours and 2 hours and 30 minutes was just like, kind of going through the motions of getting everything set up and whatnot. But, I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. I was going to say, maybe somewhere between a 7 and an 8 because you're not going to really give out 10s. And 9s are pretty rare, for pay per views, 9 or 9.5. I mean, we'll get them once in a while. But again, you can't expect it, to be like a headliner, like a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam. Any type of, of pay per view that you're going to have that's going to be kind of a lower name, pay per view or Elimination Chamber, regardless of where it's at. But I did think it was pretty cool, with Australia and there in Perth, where they had this stadium with no roof, and then you were able to see it, kind of afternoon. And then as it transitioned into the pay per view, you got to see the sunset, and then it was completely dark. And then they kept doing kind of like the background to be able to see the sunset. That was pretty cool. I was going to say the actual venue was pretty sweet, the way that they set that up there in Perth in Australia. I know they're going to be back there again. But again, a little bit, too much time in between the matches and whatnot. But, it is what it is. You want to be able to have quality over quantity. So, only having, like roughly 5 matches or so, instead of going, maybe 8 or 9 matches like we used to have, where you're going to have, 3 or 4 that are really, really good, 3 or 4 that are all right, and then you're going to have 1 or 2 really bad ones, right? So they're kind of eliminating the bad, or they'll have one in the pre-show or at the initial stages of the match with like Kabuki Warriors and Indy Hartwell and whatnot. So with Candice LeRae, Daniel in the building, what's good? How are you? Matt in the building, what's good? How are you? Yeah, I ended up watching the full Mariners matchup, and it's spring training, so you still want to get wins, but there's nowhere near the starting lineup. I mean, you're typically getting a lot of minor league guys that are going to play, not only on the pitching side, but in the positional player side. So single A, double A, triple A, but at least the Mariners fought back late, but we ended up losing by a run. But one thing that I did notice, Ty France definitely worked on his body and lost a little bit of weight. And watching him run the bags from second to third, I was kind of shocked on how much faster he was than last year. And we didn't really get a lot of our starters out there. A few at bats for J.P. Crawford, a few for Ty France, but it was definitely a fraction or a shadow, a shell of what our real final product is going to be during the regular season. Marc Andre Fleury in net, and Joey Duccord. Let's go, baby. I ended up I couldn't wait. I was thinking about waiting to watch it tonight, but I was like, you know what? I got to start watching it. So I ended up starting to watch Elimination Chamber around the same time as the Mariner game against the White Sox for spring training. So from about 12 to 4, that's what I was up to. All right, baby, here we go. And it was nice. I was able, to kind of play around, but I had to hit you at the Yanni. And I actually originally had a Joey Decord image, but it was too distorted for me to use. And then I figured Yanni would be a good representative, and I'm glad that them turned out well. Figured I'd switch up the background a little bit, and we got obviously this look with the blue, and then obviously I normally do our standard look, which will typically look like something like this, but I wanted to mix it up and kind of do the blue background with the ice there kind of during. Oh, let's go. 1-0 Kraken. That was fast. Vince Dunn, baby. Wow. Wow. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? With like 40 seconds in? Hey, Marc Andre Fleury, he is a GOAT. He is a legend, but he is getting a little bit older. And we'll take that. 1-0 Kraken. Man, I'm telling you, these jerseys are good luck, man. Like I feel like when you wear them, as far as like the players out there, I feel like you're gonna get like an all-star type of performance there. And again, getting a goal within the first 45 seconds. Thank you. Let's go. Already scrapping trying to get another one. And I still haven't been able to get a Seattle Kraken spinning logo, but I did end up finding a nice Minnesota Wild. So we'll throw up the Wild logo, for a little bit of the stream as well as just the standard Kraken transparent logo. I got to make one for the Seattle Kraken so I can use it, man. 1-0 Seattle. Let's go, baby. Love it. Nice save by Decord. Let's go. And thank you for your help on the Twitter/X. I appreciate that. Yeah, the enemy kind of going where Chip left. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, he got screwed. He got screwed. But the thing is we don't know how he interviews. And if so many teams are passing on him, maybe there is a reason why they're passing on him because maybe he's just not a good communicator, and some people want to throw the race card, into it and whatnot. And obviously you want to have an equal opportunity, whether you're black, white, Asian, Mexican, or anything in between, right? But the thing is, some people are going to be really good play callers, right? But to be able to be a head coach is totally different. And as we've seen, there's a lot of guys that try, to be an offensive coordinator slash head coach or defensive coordinator slash head coach, and they can't do it. And I'm not saying that the enemy's dumb or he's unqualified because he's not. I think he does deserve at least a shot at some point, to be a head coach, whether he has to go through the college ranks first and then some NFL team will be like, fuck it, or the Kansas City Chiefs will come a calling, but at some point he will get a job offer, but it kind of makes you wonder why he hasn't gotten an opportunity just yet. Obviously with all the success that they had with Kansas City, not the most success with Washington, but let's be honest, when you're just going to a team for a year and it's the Washington football team, Washington Redskins, the Washington Commanders, what do you really expect? You're not going to be able to go in there 1 year and turn it around. So kind of feel bad for him, but again, at least he gets an opportunity to get a job, to put some, food on the table for him and his family, and then hopefully he'll be able to build his legacy. And then at some point, maybe he'll have to get a head coaching job on the college ranks first, and then maybe an NFL team will come a knocking. So I say by Joey. Oh, I bet. God, those jerseys look slick. Let's go, baby. We need you tonight. Drew has been doing pretty well. Feels good to have two goalies to have a lot of confidence in. Let's go, baby. 1-0 Kraken. Cyberpunk helping out on the Twitter/X. Yeah, you're gonna get the number 60. Yeah, Winter Classics are sick. I don't know if I'll ever be able to afford one, unless things drastically turn around, with support and people down the road. But never say never. But at one point, it would be nice to be able to have one, and I would rather save up, for like that jersey rather than just getting a blue and a white standard jersey. If it were to come down to it, so. Nothing against the standard home jersey or the white that I like, or the alternate jersey. I like them all, but Winter Classic jersey is just something else. It just pops. It's just beautiful. Oh, okay, Hack. I see you. You got the little bluish purple, more of a purple tie. Got some little designs on it. I'm not sure what the purple tie necessarily equates to, but I assume that we will find a way to get this done tonight. I mean, we're not going to lose with these Winter Classic jerseys. I mean, you're going to get a different type of energy. You look good, you feel good, you play good. Period. Three shots on goal for the Wild, two for the Kraken. Let's go. 15 minutes left in the first period. 1-0 Seattle. Damn it. Marcus Johansson. Bang, bang. 1-1. Wow. Damn it, Marcus. Well, at least we're going to have a good game tonight, it feels like. Maybe we'll have high scoring, you know. Maybe it'll end up being a 6-5 kind of game or a 5-4 kind of game. Wow. Ninth goal of the season for Marcus Johansson. All right, turn it up. All right, here we go. Let's go, Jared. Come on, Jordan. Uh-oh. Kraken player down. Get up. We have an injury. Shit. He doesn't watch hockey. He's just here to hang out. That's all right. Not everyone's going to be a hockey expert or a hockey fan for that matter. You might just be a fan of NWSF or a fan of O Doggy Dog. And we appreciate Matt being in the building. Any news on anything on college football? Anything that you've seen with transfers or anything like that, Matt? Yeah, things are starting to slow down a little bit, on the college football side. Obviously, there's not a whole lot. I mean, besides like the video game information on like what's going to be in the new college football game and kind of the little tidbits on there. What they should do is put Gus Johnson in the game, but of course they're gonna go with Fowler and like Herb Street and all like those. But I mean, when they decide to put Gus in the game, that's when the game will take off. Or if it like gave you an option on like announcers, you know what I mean? Like if you really want to go to like next gen level, like if you had an option to be able to choose like what broadcasting, crew that you could have, or if like certain games, had certain guys that did those particular games for like the conference, that would be awesome to be able to, have a little bit of a, variety and whatnot. Just like on the NFL, not everyone that calls a college football game is going to be our favorite. Certain voices are going to be a little bit better than others. 13 minutes to go. 1-1, Kraken and Wild. Reflect in the building. What's good, brother? Man, Kraken, bro. So beautiful out there. Like if they had their traditional home, traditional white for the road, and then if they got rid of like the other one, the blue, or the teal, if they got rid of that other alternate one and used this one instead, I wouldn't mind that. I mean, but again, obviously this is going to be a special jersey that we're probably only going to see a little bit, but it would be cool for them to implement it, so I could see it at least once or twice or three times a year. So yeah, and I was like, I gotta be, and I didn't have any images, and I was like, hell, I hope I'm able to make a thumbnail in time, So I'm like, all right, I got to be able to do the wild, and I didn't have anything on that end, and then originally I had a Joey Decord, but then it came out all distorted, so then I went through a couple other players, and then this Yanni turned out great, so I was like, all right, we're gonna use this. Beautiful. And the thing that really makes the jersey is the red. It's the big red, and then with the numbers on the sleeves, with that big red S just in the middle of everything. I mean, it's beautiful. It's kind of hard not to keep your eyes on it. There's only a few jerseys that I feel that are kind of like that. So same thing like with the throwbacks, with like the Seahawks or the Kelly Greens with the Eagles or the Houston Oilers or, even the Bucks, with the creamsicle orange or the New England Patriots where they have the player on the helmet or they have kind of the red, white, and blue Patriot theme. There's just certain jerseys that you look at and you can't look away or a helmet. It's like you see a helmet or you see a jersey and it's just put together so well. you get almost like in a trance, like you just can't look away. At least that's how I get, whenever I see a beautiful, stylish jersey, regardless of the team. 12 minutes to go. We're knotted up at 1. Let's go, baby. The jerseys the Leafs wore. Oh, I gotta check it out. Did they wear throwbacks today, or like an alternate? Are the Kraken back? First 10, 2-7-1, last 4, 3-0-1. That's a big difference. But again, we were on the road too, and we got to take care of business at home. Reflect. Did you watch the Mariners today at all? Did you end up watching any of the spring training, or were you busy today with adulting? And I know a lot of people got stuff that they got to do, but I watched the whole game from beginning to end. I'm going to watch everything. I wasn't going to stream it just because there's not enough starters playing, and then obviously when we have a special game with jerseys like this, I can't miss this. So, but I will be squeezing in at least probably depending on the time. It seems like a lot of the games are on at like noon, and that's not really a good ideal time for anybody. Um, but if there is any of the spring training games that are on like at 4 o'clock or later my time, I may try to squeeze in at least one or two before the regular season. I believe they were saying that Castillo was going to pitch maybe minimally, but he was going to pitch on Monday. So we'll look at the schedule and kind of see what's going on. But again, having games at noon doesn't really do me any good compared to the schedule as well as other people if they have work or other things to do. So especially if you're trying to get likes and subs and shares and donos, having a stream on at 12 o'clock or at noon my time, most people are not going to be available. So I got to be smart with my decisions on what I decide to do. I can't. I don't want to just be doing stream after stream after stream and then just hitting nothing, nothing, nothing with support. You can only take so many streams like that in a row where your mental health starts to go in a bad spiral. So 5 shots on goal for both. We're knotted up at 1. Let's go, baby. Yeah. I mean, I think like I guess if to be honest, if support overall, like we had more people, overall more subs, more views, more people donating, then I would go, and as long as I could manage it with Paisley and not leaving her unattended and whatnot. But I don't mind doing 2 or 3 streams in a day, even if it's really grueling. But once you get to a point where time is money, and I want to be able to make every minute count in my life, with Paisley, and then obviously with what I'm doing. And I'm at a point now of doing this full time, and I've been doing this for what, 12 years. This is my 8th year on YouTube. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, let me do 3 Mariner streams at noon, and then I hit 0, 0, 0, and maybe even limited views. That's not good for my mental health. Even if the Mariners win all 3 games, it's like I got, this is a business. I'm my own boss. This is my full time job. So it's not just for shits and giggles. We got to be able to try to be able to find the best way to succeed every single day. But there will be times where, if I have to sacrifice, likes, subs, donos, just to put out some extra content, I don't mind doing that. But I can only do that so many times before it gets, because I mean, how many people would, want to work for free? Like, if you have a job, you go to it, you don't want to work for 4, 5, 6 hours, 8 hours for nothing. You want to at least feel like you're being appreciated in some regard or another, for the hard time and effort put in. So, but I saw some good and some bad, with the Mariners and whatnot. But we got a long ways to go, but again, only a few starters. Ty France looked like he lost some weight, running to second to third, looked pretty good. JP Crawford, couple at bats. A lot of young single A, double A, triple A pitchers, single A, double A, triple A batters. But we made a hell of a comeback in the bottom of the ninth, but then we just top of the ninth, but then we couldn't hang on. And then that last pitcher that we had kind of screwed us there. And once they got bases loaded with no outs, I was like, oh, we lost. So, it is what it is, though. $3 holla. Appreciate you. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks with the little cactus track. Bang, bang. $3 holla. 97 to go. Sherman got arrested. I didn't see that. Megan, yeah, no worries. You always go above and beyond whenever you can, so never a worry there. We just have to keep grinding it out, and hopefully we can get others. But between the two Seahawk fanatic duos that really hold it down, we need others, the other mods, or newbies, or other people to come through to be able to fill the gaps. Because like again, you're going to have the same loyal people that are going to take care of you, but then there's going to be a point where those loyal people got other shit going on, right? Where they need to be able to take care of business, or they need to be able to spend the money the way that they choose to on themselves, or bills, or their family, or buying stuff for themselves. So that's why you got to grind, and you got to grind and grind. So that way, hopefully, that when things maybe get tight for some of those people that are grinding it out, on the daily and supporting, that if they have a stretch of a few days or a week where they can, that we have other people that can, fill the gap instead of just, me grinding it out, day in and day out, and then being at a fucking zero, or like $1. Those days are not fun for me. It's like I can still have fun, I can still have fun, grinding it out, but you can only have so many of those before it, starts to get to you. But also on the flip side, I'm not an idiot. I recognize that, different fans support different things, and there's different fans that support more than others. Like football fans, primarily wrestling fans, and then a lot of the times where we end up getting donos on those other streams, it comes right back from the people that are primarily, like the football fans and whatnot. So it just so happens that they also like hockey, or, wrestling, or basketball, or whatever it may be. So, but I appreciate you guys very, very much. Yeah, he got a DUI. Yeah. No other information has come out, but presumably alcohol. I don't think if it was going to be for like pills or something else, I think that would have already leaked. Well, you saw the one Sherman thing where he was trying to break the door down of the family member, and then he was drunk, and then he was talking into the ring camera, and then started like kicking and banging on the door trying to break in. I remember that footage. Alcohol is one of those things, man. So many people, love it, and so many people, consume it. But again, it's very easy to, kind of go in a downward spiral, not only in your wallet, but on how you feel and what it does to your body. And then also, some people can handle it better than others, and a lot of bad judgments and decisions are made. More bad decisions are made when you're faded in that regard than anything else. You see other people getting in trouble for the other things, the party stuff, or the pill stuff. But most of the time, when you see people getting in trouble, getting arrested or getting in trouble, typically it's alcohol, or alcohol starting off and then mixing in those other things. So. Well, hopefully, everything works out for him. And addiction is one of those things. Alcohol is obviously way more accepted than a lot of other things that are out there. But in reality, if you're actually looking at the big picture, of what's going on right now with alcohol and like fentanyl and everything else that's going on with abuse with the pills and all this other stuff. I mean, it's everyone's got like vices, bottom line. Everyone's got things that they like to do or the way they like to be, feeling when they do these things. But, if you've got an addictive personality, it's very tough to be able to control those urges, and then ultimately you have to separate yourself from those people that encourage you to act that way or to partake in those things. I feel like if you eliminate yourself, from those people, even if they're really close family or friends, it can really help. I mean, shit, I've been there, so I mean, I would know. Yeah, me too. I'm not. I mean, like I said, I've never been an alcoholic. Thank God. I have friends that are and have been, and yeah, I mean, for me, it's like I can go to like a Blazer game or go to the arcade and like have a beer, or maybe like I'll have two, depending on who I'm with. It's like, oh, do a couple shots, or like and then we're going into a football game or something. It's like I don't need to be doing like 15 shots and like 12 beers, and I think that even a couple years ago, I would be drinking 6 pack of Corona or those Modelo coladas, which were delicious, and I still crave those, from time to time. And I usually would have one, two, or three of those tall boys back, a year or 2 years ago. But ever since with Paisley and being on this health kick, just going back and looking at photos of myself and around COVID time, and this is the lowest I've weighed in since I was in my 20s. It's crazy. I was at like 260, 270 in COVID. Now I'm down to like 194. So, I mean, if you would have been able to tell me back then that that would be the case and, Paisley would be the way that she is now as well, I mean, I'd be like, there's no way. But, if you change your habits and you hold yourself accountable, you exercise, you eat better, and then you eliminate a lot of that other stuff, you'd be really surprised on how much weight you can drop if you can stay disciplined. But the discipline, right? Well, my Asian buddies, the discipline, right? It's the hardest thing to do in life. The discipline, it's like you can say it all the time, you can post it on social media, but at the end of the day, you are the only one that can control you and your actions. Whether you, like, let's say, decide to go exercise or say, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna play video games instead. Fuck it, I'm gonna drink instead. Fuck it, I'm gonna watch Netflix. I'm gonna Netflix and chill instead. So, but once you start, doing these habits, positive habits, like 21 days in a row, it creates the habit, and then once you end up creating that habit and it's a habitual thing and a pattern, and then you just, kind of look forward to doing it. And then once you look forward to doing it, then it's like second nature, and then you feel like off when you don't do it. That's when you know you've succeeded, when you got to that point where you feel off when you don't, do that particular thing. Oh, two-man advantage, 2-1 Wild. Yeah, man. Thank you so much, dude. It's like I was a chubby fellow, and I didn't even mean to. It's just like when you go through the ups and the downs with like depression and anxiety, especially with that situation where I was living. With that girlfriend at that particular time. I mean, it was just it was not a good situation. Not eating healthy, and my mental health was at a very, very low point. And it was tough. But again, things are much, much better now, and even just starting off, little by little, just like quick walk around the block, and then you get your body used to that, and then you go for a mile, and then a couple miles, and for me, again, if I didn't have Paisley, then this wouldn't have happened because obviously, me loving her as much as I do, I can't be like, well, you know what? Yeah, I'm not going to do it. There is not, that is not an option. When you have that type of breed of dog or any dog, you've got to get out there. Now, some people, will walk their dog once a day. Some will do none. I just try to do the extreme. I usually try to do three. because I'm able to, and and I know it's going to benefit my mental health and hers. So I want to give her the life that most dogs dream of. To be able to get outside for an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, so that way that there's no regrets. When dogs get up there in age, you want to make sure that you're giving them the best life that they can, especially if one day of us living is like a week for them. So, take that in consideration if you do have a pet, it's like you can stay inside all you want, but I mean, would you want to be able to stay inside for a week? And a day is a week. So if you don't walk a dog for 2 days, that's like 2 weeks for them. Something to put in perspective. 2-1 Wild. Less than 5 minutes to go in the first period. What do you want to do for photos? You let me know. Yeah, but I don't know. I think everyone's connection is going to be, different, between the, fur babies, cats and dogs, but my connection with Paisley is on like a extreme level, like the communication and the time spent um, and especially, if you feel like you're one of those people that's typically alone or you haven't had too many people, to be there for you, in relationships and whatnot. So it's like when you do have a connection, or even if you do have boyfriends or girlfriends, but it's not good. It's like either they're not a good person, or they're using you, or they're a cheater, or and then you're just living with them because it's just because you have to pay rent, whatever the situation is. But I feel like once you have a connection with like a pup, or a cat, and it's like on an extreme like level of connection, like you can understand why people treat them as like kids, because in reality it is. It's the connection of like having that pet slash child, be there for you and to have that comfort level. And obviously most people are probably not going to kiss their child 500 times in a day. Well, you could end up doing that with, a cat or a dog, where you have so much love where they might end up getting 50 to 500 kisses a day, and hugs and cuddles and rubs and all that. So not saying that you can't, show your affection towards your child, but through an animal, it's a little different. So, but I know my mental health has been tremendously better, with Paisley in my life, and then obviously me being able to give her the life that she deserves. Delayed penalty. Reflect. You got a particular thing that you want to see? You let me know. You want some Huskies? You want some Seahawks? You let me know. Let's go, baby. We need a dub. We need a dub. We're gonna have to earn this one. It's like we already are. You can tell like the swagger is there, the body language with the shoulders and the vibe, with the jerseys. But again, now we just have to make sure offensively we're, as aggressive as possible, and we're at home. And there's no excuse. I mean, again, you're gonna, drop some games. The NHL is tough, but we have a pretty similar records, 27, 24, 6, 24, 21, and 11. And we just need to be able to take advantage of these matchups on home ice the best that we can. And again, some we're going to win, some we're going to lose. Some that we're like, oh, we're going to win for sure. We're going to lose those. And some that we're like, oh, there's no way we're going to win. And then somehow we're going to win. So you're going to end up getting, some crazy performances between now and the end of the season. And then when is the trade deadline? What is the actual date with that? So obviously, with the trade deadline, it'll be very, very impactful. I feel this season, just like it is every season. On the NFL side, MLB side, NBA side, and NHL side. But I think that there's a good possibility for a lot of movement this season. And there's usually a lot of movement regardless. But I feel that there's going to be quite a bit. And for the Kraken, based on our record, it would make sense for us to grab a player or two if we could. It's not like we're sitting in first place. We need help to go from possibly fifth to fourth to third, and try to get the closest that we can to a wild card. No guarantee, but it would be nice to see them try to pick at least one person up to help for depth and extra chemistry and continuity and a spark for our team. Every team can use a spark. Come on, Seattle, let's go. 8th of March. How common would you say it typically is in free agency for a team to get more than one player? Like, is it going to be pretty common that some teams get 2 to 3 players, or is it typically they got their eye on like one guy and then they either get him or they don't? Do you see a lot of? I mean, on the NFL side, it's different, but on the NHL side, like how often at the deadline do teams get more than one player? I guess it just depends on how active they're going to be. And I'm not just saying like any player, but like the guys that are actually going to come in to make a difference, like difference makers. Because of course you can get 2 players. You can get like a bench guy that's never going to play just for emergency depth, and then trying to get that good piece, maybe that's on that bad team, and they're just trying to get rid of that piece, and then make a swap or whatnot, or you pick up a guy to get anything on that power play. Yeah, you can break down all the format stuff. Go ahead, bro. Less than a minute to go. 2-1 Wild. But Mariners, some things good, some things bad. But again, it wasn't the full roster. Elimination Chamber overall was pretty good. Some things that could have been better, but you could say that for any WWE pay per view. And we're down 2-1 right now, but it feels like this isn't like out of reach. It's just a matter of time before we get that second goal. Oh, Sidney Crosby on fucking the Kraken would be fucking ridiculous. I mean, even though we know he's like a little older and he's at the end of his career, but that would be a huge, huge, huge draw. I mean, there would be people grabbing Crosby Kraken jerseys just because it's Crosby, just to have that in the collection. You know, that would be crazy. But again, if something like that were to happen, we would want to, get a good version of him. It's like you don't want to grab a big name player and then they don't produce or they get hurt. But sometimes that's that unfortunately happens in sports sometimes. You get a guy, you get a lot of expectations, and then all of a sudden they have this crazy injury out of nowhere, or just the chemistry fit, is kind of tough. But if you're Sidney Crosby, I mean, you're going to figure it out regardless on what team he goes to, if he were to go to a different team. But I can't really picture him on any team other than the Penguins. But I mean, and never say never, I guess, right? Wow, what a save. End of the first period, 2-1 Wild. Appreciate the help there, Matt. on the Twitter/X. I was hoping that the score would be 2-1 Kraken, but good period for Marc-Andre Fleury. All right. Yanni, they might need you. All right, we're at intermission 2-1 Wild. Let's do photos. You guys let me know what you want, and I got you. Yeah, and again, we only had a couple starters in there, and a lot of guys that are never going to see the field, or very, very rare chance that some of those guys. I mean, a lot of those guys, single A, double A, triple A. Guys that are just trying to see, if they can hang with the big boys, in this particular setting. So. Yeah, I'm interested to see, if we get like Julio, when we get some of the guys, because if Castillo might be pitching on Monday, is that the game that we're going to get Julio, like 2 at-bats? I still want to be able to see mechanics and, even if it ends up being like some single A, double A, triple A pitcher, maybe not even a starter, could be, could not, from whatever team that we end up playing as these games go along. I still want to see how guys look. Every at-bat counts. And if you remember, Kelenic was really, on fire, in the previous years. And he came in, kind of locked and loaded in spring training. It carried over into our regular season last year when we were batting like 220, 230, as a team. But for about the first 50, 60 games, he was really the only guy that was good for us. But it was only because he was so good in spring training. He got hot early there, and he carried that Uncle Mo and that momentum over. So I don't know whatever he was doing at that point, but hopefully we have some Jared Kelenic spring training players moments like that, so that way that we can start off hot and we can get closer to batting, 250 to 280 as a team instead of 200 to 230. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to make the playoffs. That's big facts. Yeah, I almost, ripped my hair out, but then I realized I didn't have any. So, what can you do? But when it was bases loaded, no outs, I was like, no. I was like, after we caught up and got a couple runs there in the top of the ninth, I'm like, hell no. Like 6-4, then it was 6-5, and I'm like, yeah, 6-6, and then 7-6. I'm like, yeah, and then, typical Mariner, baseball type of stuff, even if it ends up, being spring training. So. Yes. That's why it's good to be able to pay attention, because the people that are paying attention, those are the people that are going to know more about the team and the roster, and then they can foreshadow and come up with better predictions, because you've seen and you took the time to watch, where you're going to get some Mariner fans, that are not willing to put in the time. And then when certain guys, break out, they have no idea. But for people that are, pretty hardcore, that are even watching the preseason stuff, sometimes, the writing is on the wall. You just have to take some time and effort to watch a little bit. And if you do, then, you end up being a little smarter, right? And then you come up with better predictions, and, that's how it works. So. SEC, Big 10, Big 12, ACC, automatic bid. And then the Group 5 team, Conference Championship, whoever the highest ranked team. Then, committee will rank the remaining top 25 with the 7 highest ranked teams. And of course, there's going to be people bitching that one that's on the outside, looking in. There's always like, if you have 12, what's 13 going to say? The 13 is going to be bitching. Once you go to 16, 17 is going to be bitching and complaining and moaning, but I like it. I like the format, better than just the 4 teams. So, especially with all of the transactions and people with no loyalty, coaches or players. So the more teams that you have in the playoff, it's not going to be just the same 4 teams over and over and over and over. It gives a chance for teams like Oregon and Washington to have dreams like, you know what, maybe we can actually make it to the championship, and then after we get there, we want to eventually win it. But for the schools like us, before it was not really that likely or possible, but now with the way that the college football world is kind of shifted, and with Alabama and Michigan, we'll see how they do after their Harbaugh and Saban are gone, right? So there's going to be a little opportunity for others to sneak in there and take those 2 spots. Could it be Oregon and Texas? Possibly. Let me see if I can find some Mariner photos. Yeah, it looks like they don't really got too much. I'm seeing some stuff, but it's not like really formatted stuff. Or it's like they're using something. Yeah, a lot of the stuff they're just using other stuff. Hopefully they'll take some more photos. Yeah, I believe there's still going to be championship games for all. Go, Joey. We need you, baby. Will they? Is that what they're saying? Yeah, joining Notre Dame. That would be crazy. That'd be, at some point you got to think, with more competition coming in, and depending on who's going to do well with like recruiting, to think that it's always going to be Michigan and Ohio State, like moving forward, like someone's going to break through, at some point or another, whether that be Penn State, because they're kind of waiting in the wings, here and there every like 4 to 5 years, Will it be like in Oregon or Washington or USC? It definitely raises the question. Or if an Iowa or Wisconsin can have a team good enough, in recruiting, if they build, and after like 4 years of building, maybe they can have a top 10 team, and then they can compete as well. So you just have to look at like the coach and the recruiting, and it's gonna be so cutthroat moving forward. The way college football is kind of shaping out to be. Like, there's some things that are positive, but there's a lot of negative I can kind of see coming from the way that the NIL paying the players is cool, but now the loyalty with the coaches and the players is even worse than what it was. And I guess as long as you're one of the really good teams and you have a coach that's really good and he stays, then you're good to go. But if you're not a team that has a good coach, and if you're not a team that has a good coach that's going to stay, then it raises a lot of eyebrows and question marks, thinking that, well, hell, if this good coach leaves, we better get another fucking good one or we're screwed. So. So obviously they had their pay-per-view there in Perth, and I love the setup. I mean, 50,000 people, open roof, and then it ended up being like, late afternoon, and then it ended up, going to like sunset, and it was a very pretty kind of like orangish. You got all the different colors, and then obviously complete darkness, and then all the lights came on. I know they'll be back. It just was tough for people that live here in like the West Coast, because we had to wake up at 2 a.m. It would have been 5 a.m. if you were on the East Coast, which was early, but that's still doable if you're hardcore. But like for me, I just, took a walk with Paisley, and then I ended up watching it around noon and caught the replay. But it was fun to watch. They, a couple fuck ups here and there, but overall it was entertaining to me. Tulane. Yeah, Tulane has kind of gotten better. Same thing with Liberty. You normally think of like a team like a Boise State, but they don't have the same kind of recruiting and coaching staff that they had years ago, like when they did the Statue of Liberty against like Oklahoma. Back when Boise was, Boise, they were top 25, at one point top 15, and at one point top 10. I'm not sure if you're going to see that, but it shows you how important coaching and recruiting is. You can literally be a Boise State, but you can, still end up, being a top 25 or a top 10 team if you have the right coach in place. Yeah, I'm going to be definitely reading a lot of articles, watching a lot of film. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And then one of the best parts of the NFL draft process. We'll give the Wild a little love here. We'll give them their little spinning logo. The best part about the NFL draft that I really, really enjoy is that they do the highlight package, with the picks and beforehand as well. So it's like if you could be hardcore or you could be a novice. And regardless if you watch like highlight stuff on YouTube or other social media places or not, but just to be able to get that extra film and to be able to see the player move and catch and tackle and score and block properly and have their little highlight package throughout the pick. That's one of the best parts of it for me, because that's like pretty much what I do anyways. I'm always reading the articles and the blogs and the vlogs, but I like to be able to actually see practice footage, scrimmages, and then obviously high school, college, NFL tape. So that way, the more that I can see, then the more that I can come up with better predictions. And just like a lot of y'all too, it's like you have your, certain, players that you like or you watch, and you feel like you're a little bit more in tune with those, and predictions can come a lot easier and more correct if you put in that time and that effort. So yeah, almost all the scouts got the Knicks and Penix Jr. at 5 or 6. Don't be surprised if they end up being the best quarterbacks out of the draft class. I would not be shocked, because again, with Caleb and Jaden Daniels and Drake May, if you go to teams that have bad coaching, bad offensive line, bad chemistry, not enough supporting cast, and suspect defense, who's to say that they're going to play like C.J. Stroud? Is it really, you might get something like Trevor Lawrence, like in his first couple years and until things get better, So if you end up getting drafted the 5th or 6th quarterback, but you end up going to like Minnesota or Tampa Bay, or something like that, where you're like a fringe playoff team, or, you're not a great team, but you're going to be a 8 to 10 win team-ish, somewhere in there, 8 to 11 wins, 10 to 11 if you end up being good, and then 8 or 9 and underachieving if you end up being bad. That's when you end up getting a player like a Knicks or a Penix, and then you can end up going from 8 wins, and then maybe you can get to 9, and then maybe the next year 10. Or if you're already at 9, maybe it can take you to 11, instead of like the standard 10, depending on the schedule and injuries. So, I'm very excited to see how it all plays out. And, certain people are, built for the college game, and that's just how good they're going to be. They're not going to really develop that much above and beyond that. So, and then some people, they'll find a way to adjust to the speed of the pro game, and they're smart. But it also, you have to take in consideration, C.J. Stroud, if he was on the Panthers, we're not talking about him today. So we have to remember that it's not just the C.J. Stroud and everyone trying to buy his rookie cards and all this hype about C.J. It was about the coach. It was the OC, the DC, the offensive line, the weapons. It was Nico. It was the defense with Will Anderson. It was a collective unit where everyone was on the same page together. Everyone needed each other to succeed. You put C.J. Stroud on the Panthers, he would have been better than Bryce Young, but we're not talking about him in the same light like we're talking about him this year with the Texans. So, you also have to keep that in consideration too. But some people think that no matter, if the player is good, that he'll be good anywhere, no matter what the situation. But real football heads know that, if you don't have the proper O-line, you don't have the proper, coordinator, that makes all the difference. You could have a lot of potential, but if you don't got the right people blocking up front, and you don't got smart people, in the front office or above you calling plays or providing leadership, you need to have good mentors. And we're not talking the owner and the GM. We're talking the head coach, the OC and the DC, and the other coaches. So, start of the second period, 2-1 Wild. Yep. Yeah. And I like Jaden Daniels' athleticism. Caleb can make some plays, but again, when he played better teams, his completion percentage was not very good, and that's an alarming thing. If you're going to be the franchise #1 pick, if your completion percentage drops off that much, well, how is that going to translate to the NFL? That's a question mark. He may fight through it, and he'll be fine, or he might end up being a bonus, or just average or above average. But not like, the guy that's supposed to, bring you a championship type of player if you pick a guy like that at 1, Everyone's got dreams, but not everyone is going to pan out to be Joe Montana. Sometimes you're going to be Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota, where you're going to have moments, but you're never going to be, the Hall of Fame, franchise-changing, Super Bowl winning quarterback that maybe some people thought that those guys were going to be. So, damn it. 3-1 Wild. Boldy with the goal. Fuck. How are we wearing these bomb jerseys and then we're losing 3-1? Damn it. Come on, Joey. But you know what? It's going to be a blessing, Reflect. Like I told you, with me being a fan of Penix, even though I'm a Ducks fan, if Bo Nix and Penix are the last two, or even if they go, if it ends up going with all those others, even if McCarthy goes, good. Fuck it. Let them go to all the shitty teams that have a shitty organizations with shitty coaching, and then eventually, they'll go to a better team. They'll slide in the draft, and then it'll end up being more of a blessing for them, like Aaron Rodgers to the Packers or Lamar to the Ravens. If you had Rodgers go to a shittier team or Lamar going to like the Titans, maybe you're not really talking about Lamar, that the way that we talk about him now, like it really does, depend on where you're going to be for those first 4 years. But even if you struggle, you can go to your second destination as long as you don't play like dog shit those first 4 years. That way someone will take a chance on you, where maybe you go to your second team and then you evolve. But we already know how the NFL works. Sometimes you only get that first contract and that's it. And that might be your career, where you might only have 4 or 5 years and then you're done, like a LaMichael James situation. So, but I still love him. Like LaMichael and D'Anthony didn't pan out, but they're Oregon Duck legends. And so, it doesn't matter to me. Would it have been awesome if they were great NFL players too? Of course. If they ended up being Hall of Famers? Yes. But just because, it didn't work out on the NFL, I'm not going to, not like have as much love for them. They're still going to be a college legend, and that still means something, to be like the best or one of the best in college. It's a step up from high school. Yeah, pro is pro, but I mean, how many people can say that they were, like Heisman type of candidate, type of player in the college football ranks ever? Not many people get to say that. So. Four on four. Let's let them fight. Like Jaden Daniels, there's like good things and there's bad things, but the athleticism is there, but under pressure, is he going to be like CJ Stroud, or is he going to be more like someone else, like Justin Fields, And it also depends, do you have a true number one receiver or not? That really determines a lot from a young quarterback. If you have a player that can be a top 10 wide receiver right away, of course that's going to make a big difference if you can get that guy the ball, because that's going to help your overall numbers, completion percentage, confidence, touchdowns, wins, Wow. Again? You got to be kidding me. 4-1 Wild. He lost. Jesus Christ. Joey DeCord getting ripped up. Yeah. Here comes Gru. Damn it. A bad game. Yeah, and like I said, if Baker stays in Tampa, fine. But if he doesn't, you already know I'm trying to get Bo Nix or Michael Penix Jr. That's what I want. If like, and then Mike Evans would have to stay. I want him to stay. Antoine Winfield Jr. gets a franchise tag, and just, having Baker and Mike together, or Mike and Mike, a brand new Mike and Mike, Michael Penix Jr. to Mike Evans. That would be a beautiful thing to watch. I don't know how I would react to that, but it would be, it would probably be the most excited I would be for a pick in a long, long time, besides like Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp. That was probably the last time that I was like fucking going crazy. So. But if like Penix Jr., like they didn't re-sign Baker and then they drafted Michael Penix Jr., like even if it doesn't work out right away, just to be able to have a franchise guy, and as long as we have the right ownership and GM, I know that we would be able to put him in a position to get better. We've won 2 Super Bowls, we've never lost when we've gone, so it's like, yeah, it might take some time, but I think Penix would look great in a Buck jersey, but he would look the most natural in like a Viking jersey, going to a team that has the similar colors already. And Jay Jetta getting passes from Penix would be fucking wild. That would even be better than, Penix to Mike Evans. Penix going to Jay Jetta for an 80-yard bomb. Yeah, that would be fucking exciting. That would put the Vikings back on the map, and then it wouldn't just be, the Packers, the Lions. Then you would have to start saying, well, the Bears are still dog shit, but the Vikings, hey, they got to build their O-line and they got to build their defense. But at some point, it'll be Penix Jr., Love, and Goff, and you'll have a 3-team horse, kind of like with Seattle Rams and the Niners and a few teams that are in the NFL now. I'm down for that. That sounds exciting. The shots have been very crisp. The passing has been very crisp, for the Wild. And it's a lot of I don't know how to describe it. It's, Kaprizov is one of the best players, so for him to have 2 goals, I put him on the thumb. I kind of felt that he was going to have a big game. And I hate when I end up kind of jinxing, because a lot of times, based on the player that I have on there, sometimes they play big, and sometimes the player that plays big is the opposing player on the thumb. And just an off matchup. Some of them were just really good, slap shots, little wristers. And then obviously them taking advantage of us on power plays. And then one of the goals, it was 5-on-3. So, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot early on, and they were aggressive. And yeah, the jerseys are fire. But again, the play has not matched the fireness of the jersey. 4-1 Wild. Come on, Kraken. 9 shots on goal for the Kraken. We got to start playing and acting like these jerseys mean something. And we got a shutout with Joey Decord in the Winter Classic against the Vegas Golden Knights, but now we're playing the complete opposite. But if they, hopefully, the shoulders don't start shrugging. Hopefully we can get a couple power plays and we can kind of chip away at this, especially if Gru can give up 1 goal the rest of the way. Just give up 1, and that's it the rest of the way. I think we would, but we would have to start scoring pretty soon to at least get our score to 4-2 within the next 8 minutes of play. To at least give us a shot for being completely embarrassed tonight. Oh yeah, I love me some Chris Jones. He's not very effective in the playoffs, though. And I dig deep into the stats, and I'm pretty sure that when I was digging, it said that he had 19 playoff games in his career, and he only had 2.5 sacks, which is not good. That's really shitty. But also, if you think he's getting double teams, and maybe he had some deflected passes, or maybe he got a fumble. So just because you're not getting the sack lunches doesn't mean you're a failure. You're not a good football player. There's a lot that Chris Jones does, and just having him out there, But I thought that was a little shocking. 19 playoff games and only 2.5 sacks total, not just the whole run. I've seen guys get 2.5 sacks in a quarter. So, but at the end of the day, what matters is sack numbers, or are they winning Lombardis? So, he has, 12 sack lunches in 19 games, but then they lose the Super Bowl matchups. That's not worth it. So, it is what it is. Yeah. I think that he's going to have to go to a team that has a really good coach. If he ended up going to Denver, compared to going to the Raiders, he would look good in the Raider uniform. But he would need a Sean Payton to mentor him, to help him with mechanics, and then hopefully that you have weapons that you can go to. But supporting cast and coaching is going to be big for Bo Nix's development and for him to be able to succeed at the next level, in my opinion, just because he was great, during the regular season. But as we know, what you do in college and what you do in the pros is completely different. Like if Bo Nix were to go to a team like the Raiders that might not have all the pieces in play, that's when you can end up having a disaster or like a failure season or failure career. It could easily happen. Even though I do like the new hire in the Raiders, So I like the direction that they're going, but what's the reputation typically of the Raiders? Quarterbacks have not done the greatest there. Carr was okay, but they're still looking for their guy. Yeah. And sometimes, we just got to be able to see on how quick that they can adjust and how athletic they are, how fast they pick up information, and obviously, the player that has the best supporting cast and coaching is going to do the best. I mean, a perfect example is Trevor Lawrence. Everyone is gushing that he's the next Andrew Luck, John Elway, like the highest valued prospect. And we saw him. He never lost a game in junior high or Pop Warner or high school and college. He's like not losing. And then he just, ends up being, on one of the worst teams, right? And it shows you like, there was some really good things that he did in those first couple years, but then there was a lot of bad that he did. But some of the bad that he did wasn't all his fault, and some of it was. Wow, another goal. Jesus Christ. This is insane. 5-1 Wild. What the hell is going on? Unbelievable. Like, I think like we're reflecting, it's like we both, like with Bryce, just him being short and not being able to see over a lot of the offensive linemen. I think he does have some skills, to get certain things done. But I also think with like Bryce Young, if you don't have the right pieces, you're going to need more help than AR or CJ Stroud because of your size and your height, and like he doesn't have, he doesn't have, I don't want to say he doesn't have the it factor, but he doesn't have like the it factor that like Russell did and like Drew Brees did. And of course they had better supporting cast, but you just kind of felt, even with Drew Brees on the Chargers, you saw, what he was at Purdue and you saw what he was on the Chargers and then at the Saints. But if you're going to be a shorter quarterback, you either going to have to be able to roll out of the pocket and the bootleg excellent, like Russ did in his early part of his early years in Seattle, or you're going to have to be leadership through the roof. You have pep talks like Ray Lewis on offense, and you're a pocket guy, but you're damn good, right? You're damn good. You're the best short quarterback, arguably of all time, Drew Brees, right? Obviously we're going to have a few short quarterbacks over the years that are going to get into this category when you're 5'10" to 6'1" or 5'10" to 6 foot, but you're either going to have to be an amazing bootleg guy and you're going to have to be able to create plays on the fly and to be able to stay in the pocket, or if you're going to be an old school 80s pocket quarterback and you're short, you better be fucking accurate and you better have a cannon for an arm, otherwise it's not going to work out. And that's why Drew Brees, he had the mentality, he had the intelligence, but he had the bomb, he had the arm, and he was crafty enough with his footwork to be able to, find a way. But it also helped, having a pretty good offensive line in front of him for a majority of his career. 5-1 Wild? Yikes. Kraken? Yeah, arm strength is big. I mean, even if it's like Josh Allen arm strength and it's like interceptions, at least I know you can go 60 to 80 yards, and once in a while that's going to connect. Sarah with the doll hair. Bang, 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 boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $1 holla. Appreciate you. Let me know what you want to do for photos. They can be food related or baseball related, whatever you want. Yeah. But the thing is, if you had Bryce on the Texans right? How much worse would he have done compared to CJ if you had the running backs and that head coach and that offensive line and Nico? Like, what kind of numbers is Bryce putting up? So you have to look at it like that. It's like, I don't like him because he's too short, and I don't, and like you say, he needs help. You know what I mean? Like, AR's got size, so he doesn't need as much help. Like he's got the arm strength and the size where if he ends up being inaccurate, he can run for first downs to kind of hide his weakness. But with Bryce, you're short and you're kind of slow, so it's like if you go out bootleg, people are catching you. So it's like you can't even run away and you're short. So you're short, your offensive line ain't good, you can't really throw, and yeah, you don't really have a good offensive line or a coach or weapons, but if you do, like, you have to work, I feel like 10 times harder than AR does and CJ with their natural gifted size and ability. It's like he's got to work extra because he's short and he doesn't really have all the tools. And on top of that, you got the worst roster. So it's like so many things are going against him. But even if you had Bryce on the Niners, that's not good enough to win the Super Bowl. Like he has a lot of holes in that game. But we'll wait and see. You know what I mean? But if I normally like to, evaluate and kind of see how things go over a period of time. But if I had to lean more towards, if he only plays in Carolina, the team's terrible. So it's like you almost put anybody there, they're going to fail. If AR's there, he's failing. Put CJ there, he's doing a little bit better than Bryce, but you're failing there, And so it's a part of like the Panthers, and then it's also him. $2 holla. Bang, 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 boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang. $2 holla. I think it's pretty much a done deal that he'll stay. He's too big of a name to just let go. You already have problems. Remember when I told you with Pierce and I told you with Jelani Woods and Pierce are not good enough? Like I say, it's cool to be able to get new players, but when you watch players and you can tell, based on what they did in college and what the roster looks like, if they're going to pan out or not. And sometimes, like, Pierce can have a good catch here and there, but he's not that good. And so it's like you need to improve. So it's like you finally got one that looks like it's going to stick. You don't want to let that go. So, yeah, you can always let him go and then try to get someone else. But, again, probably pretty likely, Higgins, right, going back. Evans, I would assume coming back, and then Pittman, I assume coming back. But there is a possibility that they say fuck it, and then they try to go for someone else. But if you go for someone else, you're going to get a wide receiver worse than Pittman Jr. So why do that when you already got a guy? Just pay him. You know what I mean? Like, because if you're not getting T. Higgins or Mike Evans, right, those are really the only two guys that you could say that are on the Pittman level for the most part if you look at the big list. Of course, there's a few other guys that are there, but, those are kind of the big names. $2 holla. Bang, bang. Boom, boom. Bang, bang. It's a very good 5-1 score. It's close. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. 94 to go. Grubauer with the save. The game is bad when you start off with one goalie, right? And you're like, oh, we're going to win this. We're in the fucking Winter Classic. We're going to win, right? 5-1 Wild. I was not expecting that. I figured the energy would match the jersey combo, but... Yeah. Yeah, and also if you look at Dalton in his career, he was a product of AJ Green, and then the running backs and what they had weapon wise. So it's like if you're going to be a second round guy and you're going to go AJ, and then you're going to go AJ and then Andy, there's going to be like if Andy Dalton would have went to a different team, he wouldn't have had that type of success that he had with the Bengals, and even with that success, it was limited. So. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But for me, if I have like a shorter quarterback, they better have a lot of intangibles, like leadership skills, like microphone skills, like Drew Brees, and arm, and great footwork. You're like I got to be able to see so many boxes checked off for me to be feeling pretty good about it, because you typically nowadays, it's like you need to get a guy that's typically like even 6'2" is sometimes not even tall enough. It's like 6'3", 6'4", and then if there's guys that are 6'5", 6'6", you're not really going to get a 6'7" and above guy, because then that ends up being like where they're too tall and they're awkward, like a Brock Osweiler. You get a guy that's too tall, it's like, cool, you got this Derek Anderson, Brock Osweiler, 6'6", 6'7", but then they can't move in the pocket. They're too fucking slow because their legs are like goddamn stilt. So, it's like trying to find that sweet spot of like 6'1" to 6'4", and even 6'1" is considered little. So 6'3", 6'4", I think is kind of like, that's the perfect height, for a quarterback typically. It's like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" if you're really lucky. 6'5" is like probably the tallest you can be by still being athletic and still being able to like run away from people. I mean, until we end up, getting a 6'6" and above quarterback that ends up being amazing then. But I would say that's probably the cutoff point. But even 6'5" sometimes is too tall, at least for quarterback standards. Five one wild? Damn. All right, let's get some photos up. Let's get them that. 8:30 to go. Brutal. Unbelievable. I wouldn't have even expected 5-1 Kraken, but golly. Yeah, but the thing is you have to do the comparison game at some point, based off style, that's how people evaluate talent. What do they remind you of? They might be themselves, like they might be, who they are. But again, when you're, drafting players, you're evaluating players, and you're going through rankings, it may be something that it gets annoying, but that's a natural part of the game, because sometimes there'll be a combination of two different guys. Like, oh, they play like Jordan, but they also play a little like LeBron, sometimes you're not going to get just like one. It'll be a combination of like things that they do that remind you, but there's always going to be a starting point, of where, okay, this guy kind of reminds me of this. And then, then you can watch them play, and then they might end up being their own type of player, like Justin Jefferson, Because, I mean, like when Jerry Rice was playing, right, with Randy Moss and T.O., does Jay Jetta remind you of any of those guys? No. There's no one that reminds you really of him, besides maybe like a Jamar Chase, but they came in around the same time. So sometimes, you end up being the trendsetter, but, comparisons are valid, man, because you have to have a starting point somewhere. But like when I watched Rome and I watched like Troy, I don't got like an NFL comparison really for them. They kind of were themselves, you know. They did things their way. So some people, you know, like with like for example, like Maserati Marv, you know, with Marvin Harrison Jr. Like some people are going to think, oh, this is kind of Larry Fitzgerald-ish, you know, type of thing. But then other guys, it's like I don't really think I have a comparison, you know, because Rome played like Rome. You know, McMillan played like McMillan. You know, Troy Franklin played like Troy Franklin. He didn't even remind me of anyone that was formerly on the Ducks. Like I didn't think like Troy Franklin, and I'm like, oh yeah, Troy Franklin reminds me of Keenan Howry or Sammy Parker or one of the, you know, old school receivers that we had. I mean, he was like his own. So. Yeah. Golly. Less than 6 minutes to go. 5-1 Wild. Right. So, like, if you're going to get a guy like that, right, you know, you have to be able to see, you know, decision-making and, you know, are you able to run away? You know, and so if you're able to run away, you know, like Kyler and Lamar, then it's going to, you know, buy some time if your accuracy ends up being kind of dog shit here and there, or if you don't have as many yards or touchdown passes because you are running away and you have the ability to run, you know, but at some point, too many hits, you know, will end up shortening a career. But like for Kyler, you know, he's one of the better, smaller, you know, quarterbacks that we've seen in a while. But with that being said, it seems like there's a lot of immaturity. There seems like there's a lot of, you know, other things that are going on, you know, obviously, you know, thinking about baseball or, you know, his video games and being a professional gamer. Like, it seems like he's just not fully committed to football. And even if you put a Kyler Murray, you know, like on the Niners, I don't necessarily think that's like good enough to get over the hump for them. Like, you know, yeah, that would take Kyler's game to another level, getting like a good coordinator with good supporting cast where you can get the most out of Kyler. But just with Kyler going to the Niners, I don't think necessarily that's like, oh, that's a Super Bowl for sure for San Francisco. I wouldn't say that. Like, Kyler's good, but I don't think he's not going to be like so much better than Jimmy G or Brock Purdy. He might be a bigger popular name, but name recognition ain't shit if you're not making big plays or you're turning the football over, you know, because that's really what it comes down to. You're popular, but if you end up fucking up and turning the ball over, you're just going to be a popular player that's going to be hated on like Dak or Kyler, where it's like we like some of the things they do, but then there's things there of their game that we don't like, right? So it's like you got to be more than just popular. I've won. I got a lot of photos that we'll be putting up here in the second intermission. Yeah, but I'm excited to see how things pan out for the draft and, you know, the college football landscape and the NFL landscape. It's going to be very exciting. I mean, that's why we love football the way that we do. It's the best. You know, it's like you have hockey and baseball and basketball and wrestling and NASCAR for like filler stuff, and we have, you know, plenty of love, you know, for those things too. But we got a ways to go before we, you know, that's why we got to be able to go over these other little things, you know, to kind of keep us going. I mean, we all like certain like characteristics and personalities of guys that we like, and sometimes something like a player, will either do something or say something or not say something, do something or not do something, and then you just don't like that type of person, on what you're seeing. So, I like to go through a lot of the intangibles, when I like a player. But then I also, on the flip side, sometimes I'll like a player that ends up being kind of irresponsible, like Johnny Football. Like I liked Johnny Football at A&M, even though, I don't think everyone knew all the shit that he was going through and was just kind of a party kid that was just good at football. Not a guy that actually wanted to, be some, multi-millionaire Hall of Fame quarterback. It was never that for him, but I so it all depends. We all have our, people that we like, and, the Sean McVays and the Kyle Shanahans and the Mike Tomlins and, these certain, coaches or players that, we like or we looked up to, the Peyton Mannings and whatnot, the Joe Montanas. But, as you start going into this kind of era, you realize that they're not going to be like, some of those legends that you grew up watching. And, the game has changed on all levels, all the sports. So there is an evolution to everything. Less than 5 minutes to go, 5-1 Wild. Can we get a goal, please? Yeah. Well, plus, and also, the organization as a whole is broken and damaged. But if you're looking at, now, if you could do a do-over, do you think that they would pick Bryce again? Hell no. They would go CJ or AR or CJ. Bryce would be the third. Hell, there might be someone other than even Bryce that they would be looking at. You know what I mean? But they definitely wouldn't be looking at Bryce. They would definitely be going with one or the other. You either go with a guy that might get injured but is tall and big like Cam Newton. So you could have had a Cam Newton clone. And yeah, he's going to get hurt, AR, but he's going to be able to do some good things in the air and with his legs. Or you go for CJ Stroud. But again, I still think that CJ would have really struggled a lot with that roster, and AR as well. Hell, AR might have gotten hurt in the first game with that Panther roster. They had no protection. $3 holla. Appreciate you very, very much. Stacks on stacks, racks on racks, Cactus Jack. Someone wants me to live and be able to pay the bills and take care of Paisley, and I appreciate that. Bang, bang. That's where it all goes to. Bills and Paisley. I don't know what to think right now, because I've watched many Kraken games, and it's not like the Wild are an elite team, and they're not a bad team. They're kind of like us, but they're better than us slightly record-wise. But for us to be losing like this, it would be like normally we're playing like Dallas or Colorado or Vegas, Minnesota. Like we're gonna beat this bad. Like, normally maybe like 2-1, at the most 3-1, but not 5-1, and then get our goalie benched and then have another goalie come in. And that all happened in the second period. Unbelievable. Take care. Hopefully they can get to 3 for at least pride by the time the game is over. All right, come on, Kraken. I mean, even if we don't win, I want to see effort. Effort is everything with me, no matter what it is. It's just being able to see what we're going to be able to get. Like, yeah, we're down 4. It's, it's an L, but if we can at least get to 3, hopefully we don't give up any more goals the rest of the way, but I mean, they're 1 goal away from a hat trick with one of their players, so. Less than 3 minutes to go, 5-1 Wild. 19 shots on goal for the Kraken, but a lot of them haven't really been that good of quality shots on goal, even though we're wearing some of the most beautiful jerseys I've ever been graced to seeing with these eyeballs. Come on, Yanni. That's crazy, though. 5 goals on 18 shots. My goodness. Take care. Oh, it's Yanni. I had him on the thumb. He's like, I got to fight, bro, dog. We got to get some fucking adrenaline going. He's like, you put me on the thumb. He's like, I got to do something. I will end you. All right, Yanni. Yanni's like, I got to make an appearance for doggy dog. Oh, wow. They were jabbing at each other a couple times. Just let them fight. He had a hold of his jersey and then flipped off his helmet. So. It's a good thing, though. We can all learn from each other. Matt with the route running and the concepts, and all the stuff that he's putting out, and then obviously you and me reflect, have kind of similar styles on how we evaluate, players and how we look at things. And so even though, you can feel that a certain amount, there's always going to be someone else that either played more recently or that deep dives and is more of an expert in that type of thing. And that's why it's good that we can all kind of group our ideas and together and whatnot, because then you can end up coming with the best predictions and the best information at that point. So because there's going to be stuff reflecting, that even with you and me and what we know and Sarah and a few others, as far as the breakdown and the terminology, that Matt will be more of an expert, in some things, breaking those things down. That's why it's good, to be able to have different people that have different, kind of ways of thinking. And then we can have a better understanding. Because, we're not average here. We're fanatics, right? So. Less than 2 minutes to go, 5-1 Wild. Yeah. Well, plus, it's Iowa. It's your own guy. and you have a reputation of the tight ends all going to the NFL and being good. So, I mean, if Sam Laporta was shitty, then that would be something. Be like, okay, well, you had the Dallas Clark, you got the George Kittle, T.J. Hawkinson. So it's like pretty much whoever is there probably is going to be a Pro Bowl tight end, and they might even be a Hall of Famer. Also, it was a big part of Laporta, going to the team that he did. Because if Laporta ended up having an Atlanta Falcons situation like Kyle Pitts, we probably wouldn't have heard about him all year. It would have been very, very minimal. So sometimes it's, getting the right player at the right time, and scooping up a couple Iowa players from your squad going to Detroit. That definitely, and obviously getting Gibbs made a huge difference in that team. And, I think all three of us liked that Lions draft early on. And, I told you guys, you guys saw how I drafted in fantasy. I told you who was going to be good this year, even before, seeing everything. And I usually have a pretty good hunch, when I look at a schedule, and either a team is going to be a year early, or on time, or maybe they're behind a year, depending on if they can put the pieces together. But, the quote unquote experts that thought that the Campbell and the Gibbs and the Laporta was a horrible pick, a horrible draft. Well, it ended up being one of the best in the NFL, and not only for the first year, but it looks like it might be one of the best drafts, as we keep going and moving forward. So. Yeah. See, you need to be able to give us like a player that's not like already a tight end. It's like, Robert Gallery, I need a better offensive lineman, but like with Cooper, being a corner, the great white hype, that's going to be cool to see. He's going to be the first white corner since Jason Sehorn. That is insanity. Hopefully he ends up being like this amazing great white hype and gets like fucking 5 picks his rookie year. That'd be awesome. Good old Iowa boy. All right, we're into the second period. 5-1. Wild. Yeah. But it shows you, you could be a talented player, but if you're on the wrong team, like imagine if Kyle Pitts was actually on a team that got him the ball. Like he might have been able to put up similar stats, or like when OJ Howard came in originally from Bama, if he would have went to a better team that actually got him the ball, maybe OJ Howard would still be playing. It's like sometimes you got to get on the right team at the right time, and if you don't, do you guys have confidence in Kyle Pitts that he's going to be able to be a top 5 tight end, or is he going to end up being just a top 15 tight end? And depending on who the Falcon quarterback is, if they get him the ball, there's a chance that he could be a top 5, top 6 tight end. But a lot has to improve on that Falcon team, or he has to go to a different team and get the football. But you don't draft a guy that high and not get the ball. So I don't think anyone thinks that Kyle Pitts is like right now, like after, even though he wasn't getting the ball, I don't think anyone thinks he's top 5. Like most people have him maybe in the top 10, maybe not. It's like, based off his athleticism, he should be definitely a top 10 tight end. But and then I feel like his confidence and his mental health is kind of dipped, and stuff just based on not getting the ball. Probably with Bijan as well. Bijan could have been a rookie of the year. They didn't even give him the ball. Like, how the hell do you draft like these players that are supposed to be like Tony Gonzalez or Ricky Williams? Like a Bijan is supposed to be like like a Saquon Barkley, and you're getting these guys. Kyle Pitts is supposed to be like a George Kittle, and then you just don't get them the ball. Like, what are you doing? I've never seen a team do that. It's like you're drafting guys really high. They're really athletic. It could be Pro Bowl, all-pro guys. And then you're like, nah, let's not give them the ball. Fuck it. Let's give the other guys the ball. Sad, sad, sad. Let's get some more photos up. What do you want to see reflect? starting to see more talent, at that wide receiver position too. The Drake London, Michael Pittman Jr., Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's a cool photo. Kraken down 5-1, end of the second period. Fuck. Mariners lost today. Fuck. But hey, that's what happens. Can't win them all. But I did get to watch Elimination Chamber, and that made me happy. I enjoyed it. Tiffany Stratton is Charlotte Flair 2.0. She has the it factor. Russell's just like Charlotte Flair, high flying, and it's just a matter of time before she ends up having her time and her being a champion. This guy right here, Michael Penix Jr., kind of good. Kind of like him. I like him the best too because of who he is. Like, outside of football, and a lot of times people don't really go that far, to see, like how they are with the coaches, with the players. What are the interviews like? Are they well spoken? Are they a good person? Do they care about the teammates? Are they selfless? Are they a good leader? Do they put other people? Is it more team or is it me? And I think some of the guys at the top of the draft are me guys. They don't want to come out there and say that I'm a me guy, but you can kind of get the idea on certain guys that might be a little bit more flashy, that might be more me guys. Like, Shedeur Sanders is a me guy. Caleb is kind of a me guy. Jaden Daniels is kind of a me guy. I think Drake he might not necessarily be a me guy, but he's going to have to be in the right system. McCarthy, I don't know. When I look at McCarthy, I don't really see an NFL quarterback. He kind of looks like a scrub to me, to be honest. I don't really think he's going to be that good. I wouldn't want to have him on the Buccaneers. I hope we don't pick him. If we were going to go I'd be pissed. I get it. It's like they ran the football a lot and the defense was good. but I don't think I've seen enough of him throwing to feel comfortable picking him. And I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I just don't, So, like, Daniels might be, May, might be, Caleb might be, Bo and Michael might be. But again, the way that, if you're looking at these guys and the way they play, each guy does something kind of good, but, I like to be able to look at, like, who are going to be the guys that are going to be the most coachable, and also being different and unique, and him being the only lefty. And like I said, this has a chance to be the best lefty, since like a Michael Vick, type of player, but maybe better, maybe better than Tua, maybe better than Michael Vick, or on the Tua Michael Vick level, maybe not Steve Young, but maybe slightly under Steve Young, But it all depends on where he goes. The only thing that's going to derail his career is himself and injuries. That's everyone else. You can't really say that for, but again, it's like, who do you trust? And especially if he had good protection, he would be able to make plays just as high, if not higher than anyone with protection, in my opinion. Because like I said, a lot of DBs and a lot of coaches, don't have lefties in the room. So everything is opposite. If you're a right-handed quarterback, your blind side is the left tackle. If you're a left-handed quarterback, it's flipped. The right tackle is the most important. So to be able to flip your defense and to scheme different, you have to take that in consideration, where lefties can do pretty good, just because you don't see a whole lot of them, right? And then he already has a lot of the intangibles on top of being a good player and just a lefty. So potential, it could be there. We could see something special here. And I hope he doesn't have any significant injuries. I don't want to see his career get shortened. And then when the football leaves his hands, it's very smooth. It's better than anyone else, in my opinion. When I look at Caleb, when I look at Drake May, when I look at Jaden Daniels, when I look at McCarthy, when I look at Bo Nix, when I look at everyone spiral and throw, they don't compare to Michael Penix Jr., in my opinion. Everyone else can have their own opinion, but it's not just being a lefty. It's the spiral, the zip, the velocity, the touch, the placement. And we've seen Bo Nix have some good touch and placement, but the throw is sometimes aren't as smooth on some of the routes than Michael can kind of succeed at. But again, if you don't have protection, then no one's going to succeed. All 5 quarterbacks or 6 are going to fail if you don't got, somewhat of an O-line and somewhat of a, decent offensive coordinator, head coach. So, but I just like the way, and it takes, I'm not going to be big on quarterbacks that often, and again, it was different when I liked Johnny Football, because I knew it would just be college. It wasn't going to be a pro thing, but just to be able to beat Alabama at that time, it was remarkable. We've never seen that. It was always Bama, 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 Bama. And you see this little freshman, great white hype come in there, go into Bama and win and play well. But also no one knew that Mike Evans was Mike Evans at that point. And that was a big part, that you were throwing to a Hall of Fame wide receiver, So Mike Evans made Johnny Football. Johnny Football did not make Mike Evans. But I would have loved to see Johnny at least play some and be like somewhat successful. But again, when you're a party person and you're not, fully committed, it was never going to work out. But I did enjoy him in college, like I did with Michael Vick. But also with Michael Vick, I knew that, he wasn't going to be a Hall of Famer, more than likely. But he was really fun and entertaining to watch. And it was something groundbreaking, fresh, and new. And yeah, we have Tua, but this guy could be better. Like, where you could be like, you know what? This is like the most respectable lefty we've had in a minute. More respect than Tua, more respect than Vic. Or, maybe we can get the respect of a, lower Steve Young, And I think, like, Steve Young, as far as lefties are concerned, it's a cream of the crop. You had Boomer Esiason and you've had other lefties, but I mean, if you're looking at like Hall of Fame, what he was able to do running the football, passing the football, being on the Niners. Like if you're a lefty, that's what aspiration should be. I want to be, the brother lefty Steve Young version of Steve Young. I want to be the brother Steve Young, and if you have aspirations to be that, then that's Hall of Fame. But again, a lot of them can be like good or like Pro Bowl here and there, but not really considered Hall of Fame. And that's kind of like, Michael Vick and, what you're getting out of Tua. You're getting limitations. You know what I mean? Michael Vick was a hell of a lot better of a runner, and he could throw deep, but he didn't really have everything surrounding him for him to be successful. Now, if he had a better team around him, better coaching, better offensive line, maybe Michael Vick could have, made a Super Bowl. Maybe he could have won a Super Bowl, depending on the team at the time. But with Tua, I don't think I see that in him. Like I see like a decent quarterback at times, a good quarterback, but I feel that, if Penix can stay healthy, we can have a lefty-lefty matchup, and it could be, really fun to watch. And maybe Michael Penix Jr. can get the best of it. Michael Penix Jr. throwing to Justin Jefferson. I mean, that sounds pretty awesome, if you ask me. I mean, I can't think of a better way to put them on the map, to compete with Jordan Love and to compete, with Jared Goff. That would be the way to go. But we'll find out. Yeah, why would you want to pay Diggs when the relationship is fractured and it's not the same anymore? Like, that you can go to him and he can get yards, but it doesn't seem like the relationship and the bond. It's like too many losses, and too much frustration, too much ego, and it's just not, necessarily a fit. And if Adams, goes, where is the place that he's going to end up with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets? But if they don't change that field from, artificial turf grass, obviously what they got going on there at MetLife, and it just anyone that goes there, it seems like they always get injured on that field. I wouldn't want to play in New York. I wouldn't want to be a Giant or a Jet to play on that field unless all the fields were the same. Like everything has to be grass. It may cost more money, but if turf is fucking people's legs up and knees up, if they had studies and like, oh, the grass is hurting everyone, then everyone have artificial turf. But if artificial turf is hurting everybody, grass is going to cost more, but again, it's going to be more maintenance and it's less profit. But again, you get more wins because your superstar players aren't tearing a fucking ligament in the game one. So you have to look out for not only the future of your players in your stadium, but the players coming in. So I don't know why they are so cheap. If I was in New York, I would be like, there is, whatever the safest and the best route to go, if it is grass, then they need to do grass everywhere. Yeah, this will be fun to see where he goes. If Tampa Bay gets him, I'd be ecstatic. It's like they decide to pass on Baker and then they go here. I would be 100% okay with it. Even if that meant having a couple rough years, if that means winning only 5 to 7 games, for the first couple years, if that happens, so be it. But just to be able to know that maybe this could be the guy that they have for maybe potentially, the second contract, and you can have a quarterback. Like my dream has always been to be able to be a fan of an NFL team, right? And to be able to have a quarterback like for 10 years or more on my team. And that way I don't have to worry about drafting a quarterback in the draft or in free agency. And if I do, it's only going to be a backup for depth. I want to have that type of scenario happen before I die. I want to be able to be like, you know what? I haven't had any franchise quarterbacks, not Vinny Testaverde. I want to have someone that I can be like proud of. And we had Tom Brady, we had Brad Johnson, they got it done. But it would just be awesome to like have the feeling of like, this is the guy. And, if we're ever going to get to a Super Bowl again, this will be the guy that might get us there, but he would look more, I think, color-wise, to go from the Huskies to the Vikings. But if he ends up getting drafted from the Bucks, oh man. Yeah, our O-line is always usually pretty good, and they always focus and practice, and they, on guys that can pull, and they like to get guys on Tampa that can play guard and center, or guard and tackle, or tackle and center. They like to get guys that can move around, that are flexible, just in case an injury happens. So I like that. And typically, if we have like a guard or tackle, or even a center, a lot of them can pull, and that is huge in the NFL. If you can pull, it really opens up the playbook. All right, we're into the third period now. Xavier Howard, yeah. But also, too, you have to think, Xavier Howard is a name, but is he going to be able to stay healthy? So anytime you end up seeing a top 10 corner or a top 10 safety, a lot of times we have to look past name recognition, like fantasy football. You can look at these names, right? But again, sometimes name recognition doesn't match the stats that they put up. Sometimes, they're kind of a shell of what they were, and people are living through their legacy of what they did a couple years ago, not what they're going to be doing, kind of like Michael Thomas. He's done. He's never going to be the player that he was with Drew Brees. He's done. He can't stay healthy. But there's still people that think that he could be a top 5 or top 10 receiver. They have that blind faith that he's going to end up getting 100 to 120 catches again, and it ain't fucking happening. But some people still think it will. It's different layers. It's like you either realize who your quarterbacks are, who your GM is, who your O-line is, and you have to understand sometimes it's the quarterback that makes the player rather than the player making the plays for himself. And Michael Thomas obviously came out of Ohio State and was a good receiver when he was healthy, but the problem is he can't stay fucking healthy. So he'll never be a top 5 receiver ever again, in my opinion, because he just can't stay on the field long enough. Sad, but true. I would love to be able to see Michael Thomas go to another team and then him show out and put up huge numbers and get 95 catches for 12 touchdowns. But can anyone honestly say after the last 2 or 3 years of him getting hurt over and over and over, and it's like Greg Oden syndrome? Like, we know you have talent and you have potential and you've showed it, but that was years ago. And the NFL is a what have you done for me lately type of league. And if you're a type of person that plays fantasy based off name recognition, you're never going to win a championship. Because if you play off name recognition, chances are there's going to be guys on your team that were good a couple years ago, but they weren't good last year. And you're just hanging on to guys based off potential and name rather than what they're doing as of right now. And, NFL is what have you done for me lately type of league. And in fantasy, you got to get points now, not points next year. I mean, it'd be cool if he slant boy, as they would call him, that if he would end up actually being healthy. Some guys' bodies are just brittle, and that's just matter of fact. It sucks. But, I always wonder what would have happened with my boy Brandon Roy. He could have ended up being a Hall of Famer like Derrick Rose. Tracy McGrady's career, got shortened, but he still got to play more than Brandon Roy. Like D Rose and Brandon Roy could be Hall of Famers. And I don't think anyone would really argue, especially if they both had 10 to 15 years of straight amazing basketball. Like, what could have been? What could have been for the Blazers? What could have been for the Bulls? If those guys were able to stay healthy and to be top 10 players in the NBA at the time that they were playing. Because that's essentially what they were when they were healthy. That's a guy that everyone liked, and you can't really say anything bad about him. Like, you never hear anyone talking shit about B. Roy like they talk shit about Odin. Everything that B. Roy did, Rookie of the Year, All-Star, 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 went to the T-Wolves, knees exploded, cartilage on cartilage, bye-bye. And now, kind of trying to get into the coaching ranks, which he was rumored to be a possible candidate for the Huskies basketball job. but I really enjoyed watching him play. I mean, I had all kinds of B-Roy jerseys. I mean, he made Portland fun. You know, white B-Roy, black B-Roy. I gave away a lot of my B-Roy jerseys to other Blazer friends of mine. Hell, I even purchased the B-Roy All-Star jerseys. I had a couple of them. You know, for me to buy a fucking All-Star jersey of a basketball player, Jesus Christ, that must be someone that I love. There's no way in hell I'm buying an All-Star jersey of a basketball player unless it's like special. And it was at that time. Shit, if B-Roy was playing today, that would make me do Blazer games for someone like that. You know, like when we had Dame, but, you know, I like B-Roy, you know, as far as like what I liked, I mean, I appreciated Dame, and Dame was big for us, you know what I mean? But like, I was more of like kind of a B-Roy guy, you know? I appreciated Dame, and Dame was the guy after B-Roy, but having B-Roy and LaMarcus and Odin, that was kind of cool, you know? It was a trifecta. Didn't work out. But I'm always going to be like a Terry Porter, Clyde Drexler, Jerome Kersey, Buck Williams, Kevin Duckworth, Cliff Robinson guy. That's, you know, as far as Blazers, that, you know. And then appreciate the Rasheed run. And, you know, I always loved Rod Strickland and Kenny Anderson and nice little lefty. We've always had some, you know, decent point guards for Portland. Except for Sebastian Telfair. He didn't pan out. He was just a street ball legend. Yeah, I don't really see a whole lot about him unless something comes up Husky related or for whatever weird reason it just comes up, you know. Like when we were talking about the Expos, and I, you know, brought up Randy Johnson and stuff, and then all of a sudden the next day I saw Netflix is coming up with an Expos documentary. You know, it's like weird. Like I'll have these like things, and then all of a sudden the Expos are not talked about by anyone for years, and then we like talk about them, and then the next day they release the information about the Expos. I don't know, weird shit. But I've always loved the Expos logo, the colors, and I wish that they never left. Wish they would have been able to stay there. I think Montreal Expos and having them and the Blue Jays would have been amazing instead of having fucking Washington Nationals. Like, who gives a shit about them? Like, I'd rather have a team in Montreal. I mean, Oil Can Boyd. I mean, if you can't get up for Oil Can Boyd or Pedro Martinez or Randy Johnson or Andres Galarraga, I mean, come on. That's my childhood, baby. All right, Minnesota Wild. We have a cool spinning logo. That's the problem. The Kraken don't got a spinning logo. That's why we're fucking losing. 14 minutes to go in the third period. 5-1 Wild. I mean, I hope for pride that we can at least get to 3. But no one saw this coming. Not this poor. You know, you might have saw, well, there it is. They ask for a goal, and then 10 seconds later, boom, goal. There we go. Now I need one more after that, at least. There we go. 5-2 Wild. Sometimes you got to ask the sports gods. Sometimes you just got to talk to the sports gods. You just got to let them know what you want. And they're not going to be able to give you what you want all the time, you know, but if the sports gods like you and they listen, you know, sometimes you got to, you know, let them know, you know, you can't just think it. Sometimes it's got to be verbal, you know, and then it happens. So thank you, sports gods. I know we're going to lose, but I'll take that. Matty Benitez. Jordan Eberle. Nice job, Jordan. Five-2. It's a hell of a lot better than 5-1. Nice job, Jordan. Let's go, baby. Way to be electric. We're getting our ass kicked, but we got like cool jerseys, man. We're wearing the Winter Classics. We can't lose wearing the Winter Classics. Come on. Kraken. But I do appreciate the effort. You're not giving up. Way to be electric, Jordan. Everyone take care of your mental health. Remember that. Very important. Nice job, baby. We can actually like show the other Kraken. Kraken closed. Kraken open. Kraken anchor. Defend the deep. Buoy. He likes it. Come on now. Oh yeah, he likes it. Mikey likes it. Kraken, baby. Let's go, baby. Let's get to 3. It'll carry over to the next game. You just give up. The next matchup, unless everything is going in a different direction, what you do at the end of games will carry over to the next. Not all the time, but sometimes that effort will. It's contagious. You want to make sure that you're not seeing people give up, no matter how bleak things look. And of course, when you're down 5-1, you lost, but you never know. The teams that have a lot of fight. Ooh, almost got another one. But the good teams, that find a way, like if we end up losing this 5-4, the chance of us, winning the next matchup is a lot better than losing 5-1. Like actually showing that effort when you could have just rolled over and died, and then you put up 3 more goals when you didn't have to. Like that definitely is little things that But also we need the crowd to kind of help us out too. And if we can get a couple power plays, that'll help also. Come on, baby. $12 minutes to go. We got to get a goal every 4 minutes now, and we can't give up any more. That's a tough task. You already got one. And then now you got to get 3 goals every 4 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. But normally when you end up getting one of these goals, you might get another one like a minute later. That's the cool thing about hockey. It's like baseball, sometimes you'll get, them in like little rallies, right? But in hockey, it's like you might get a goal, and depending on if that goalie is a little rattled, you might get another one like 30 seconds to a minute later. And then momentum really shifts. But also in baseball, you can have nothing, like the Mariners, and then all of a sudden the 7th inning comes around, and then boom, you get 7 runs. All right. Well, for full strength now, we weren't able to take advantage on that power play 5-on-4, but we are in their crease, so we're just firing away. But it's almost like too little, too late. Like, where was this aggressiveness in the second period? Now, if you guys would have played like this in the second period, maybe we'd be down 5-3 at this point, and then we'd have a very small chance, but a chance to come back down 2 goals with 10 minutes to go. $9 hairs, 91 to go. Tez. What defensive lineman have you looked at that you think would be a good fit, Reflect? I know you've been looking at offensive linemen because, again, 3 out of the 5 that are starting right now are going to be up for contract. They may or may not be there. So you definitely, have struggled there, and you need to get better players on the line. So, regardless if it's Jackson Powers or other linemen, bottom line is you need linemen, but you need ones that are going to pan out, You need, especially with 3 out of the 5. You know, if you want to end up keeping up with the Rams and the Niners, offensive line is going to be key, especially with quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Tight end could be improved, but you got a lot of scoring capabilities. But it'll take a big step if that offensive line ends up being dramatically improved. It's like you can have DK and you can have Lockett and JSN, but if you have an average to bad line, you're only going to get so much out of them. But if you end up having a great offensive line, you'll see those guys have career years and huge numbers. Like DK going from 8 touchdowns to like 15. That could be possible with a great offensive line. So, but chances of having an average or poor offensive line, you're not going to get DK with a 16 touchdown year. It's not going to happen. You got to be able to improve those other pieces to be able to have those career big years. So, yeah, best lineman, D line or O line. I agree. Uh, you know, you like Latu? Keep it in the fam, Pacific Northwest, dude. And sometimes Midwest and East Coast bias ends up being good because sometimes the Rams and the Seahawks and the Niners, will pick up the players that maybe other fan bases think that conference sucks, so their players suck, and if they have that mentality, fine, more for us. And sometimes we'll pick guys from the Pac-12 and they won't pan out, but every once in a while we'll get a gem where it ends up being a Hall of Famer, where if they didn't have that West Coast bias against us, that they would have picked that player, but they just had too much hate in their hearts and they were hating too much on our conference. And then, it'll just, trickle down to us. And then it ends up working out good for us. It's good when we're not believed in because if, you get teams and fan bases in the Midwest, the East Coast, or the South that just doesn't want to give us credit, fine. We'll show you how good we are. So, like Jackson Powers could be a Hall of Famer. I wouldn't say that unless I truly believed it. I said the same thing about Penny Sewell. It could be a Hall of Famer. And Sewell, the way that he's played so far in his career, is living up to that. So, I mean, Rashawn Slater was another good offensive lineman when that went to the Chargers, but the Ducks are starting to do some nice things with those pieces on that O line. And we're not done. So Sewell, Jackson Powers, who's going to be the next, player like them? I can't wait to see who it's going to be. 5-2 Wild. 9 minutes to go in the third period. Yeah, and also too, it's like offensive linemen. It's like you can be a name and you can get drafted in the first round, but the bottom line is you have to pan out. And if there's players that end up being better, that means that you missed. It's like and sometimes it's you got to admit it. That sometimes you hit on drafts and sometimes you miss on drafts. You can still like a guy that you drafted, but when you see other guys on other teams that end up being Pro Bowl, All Pro, or Hall of Fame, that's when you know that you dropped the bag, you fumbled the bag. But again, player evaluation, not everyone is going to be on the same level, and sometimes player evaluation isn't the best or most talented. It's going to be what's going to work best for that specific team. But if you're going to draft that way, you better hit, because if you don't and you drafted a specialist for your team and then it didn't work out, that means there probably is a overall better player you passed on, and that guy might end up being a Hall of Famer. So sometimes when you pick a player specific to your team needs and it doesn't work out, those are the ones that are going to hurt more than going for the athletic guy, because the athletic guy, normally is going to make it. It's just a matter of did you pick him or not. Yeah, but also too getting dominated a couple games throughout the year against elite teams in the college circles doesn't necessarily mean the guy is going to be great, and it doesn't mean he's going to be terrible. You know, you just have to look at the body of work, overall. And the more film that you watch and the more body of work, you can still have, a couple bad games, where maybe you go and you get matched up against an All American and they beat you, or you're injured. Sometimes people don't take that in consideration where a lot of these players are not, letting the coaches know how injured they really are. And there's a lot of ego involved. And sometimes, a guy could be playing hurt, but you don't know unless you can physically see him limping. So some guys aren't 100%, or they're mentally not in it. So, some players have had some drama or trauma going on, and maybe it was a game like that, or just a plain shit game where you just played like shit. You know, well, I'm glad it's 5-2, but for me to be happy wearing these Winter Classic jerseys, I need to see at least one more goal. Like, okay, we lost, but like, show me some fight here in the third period, and then that'll hopefully carry over to the next matchup. But Marc Andre Fleury, he's been around. Yeah. I'm interested to see how all the guys, develop. And even going even in the Tristan Wirfs draft, if you're looking at all those offensive linemen that got picked before Wirfs, sometimes, it's about the team that you go to, but other times you can just tell no matter what team they went to, they were going to pan out. Like I feel like Wirfs would have panned out anywhere. There's just certain guys that, no matter where they go, like Penny Sewell, I feel that he would have panned out anywhere, but it helps when you end up going to a team and it works out. But and some guys have to wait to go to their second team to really show what they can do. Yeah. So sometimes people like to jump, on like, oh, he did good, oh, he did bad. But sometimes we don't want to look deeper, like injuries, bad game, and so the only way for us to be able to be good evaluators and be good at fantasy football and to be good at evaluating talent from college to the pros, right, is just us doing us. Reading a lot and watching film and just seeing who's consistent. Consistency is key. And the more consistency and the stats, hit and they check the boxes off, then you feel more comfortable about an evaluation. When you get guys that aren't checking off all the boxes, that's when you have general concern. And when those guys don't pan out, a lot of times we already knew because they didn't check off all the boxes for us early on. That's how I try to evaluate. But every once in a while, a guy comes out of nowhere and surprises everyone, you know, based off, targets, looks, or just coming out of nowhere like Puka, you know like to act like everyone, like if you're like, oh, I knew he was going to be a superstar. Lies. No one knew that he was going to be a superstar. No one knew that he was going to get like 10 to 15 looks every game, and let alone catch 10 out of 11 or 12 out of 14. You know what I mean? Like to act like people knew that that was going to happen is this bold faced lie. It's like even me knowing like McVay, like we knew Cooper Cup was going to be a little bit dinged up, but no one knew that the offense was going to flow through him, unless you were on the Rams, war room or sideline. Those are the only people that knew. I just hate that, when you get those people that, oh, I knew. No, you didn't. Stop lying. We got ESP here, and we'll come up with a lot of predictions. But, to say something that predicted true when you knew there was no way. That's what makes football great sometimes. Yeah. Right. But also, you could say the same for like Bo Nix, and he might be able to pan out maybe in the right situation. Like, might have not been able to get over the hump on UW, but we can't let the UW losses define his whole career or what he did for the whole year. Definitely was concerning. It would have been better for him to win those games, but there is still a chance, that maybe he might do something. You ain't no keyboard warrior. CG in the building. What's good? Minnesota power play. We got 3-minute power play with 6 minutes to go, and we're down by three. I don't know if we're going to get one more, but I hope we do. Nice job, Drew. Like Drew sucked in the beginning, and then Joey stepped in and played great. Now Joey sucked today, and then he got benched, and then now Drew's on kind of a nice. I mean, he came in and he's only given up one since I think he came in, but still, he's been doing pretty well since his return from the injury and the mental health. So, but not enough offensive firepower today. Well, at this point, Minnesota, is kind of going through the motions. I'm not sure if they're really on, you know, they're trying to like step, on the jugular, and they're trying to just like, keep, going for, goal, goal, goal. At this point, it kind of feels like they're just skating around, just waiting for the game to end. And then with the Kraken, it's, how many players are really trying to score to try to get this to at least three or four. It's like at every point in a hockey matchup, sometimes, you can kind of tell where I'm not saying like both teams have, thrown in the white flag, but sometimes based on the effort of skating, passing, and then shot selection, you can kind of tell where they're just kind of going through the motions. Where if goals score, fine, but there's not really like a strategy or a defining purpose to be able to get more goals. At some point in the game when you watch hockey, it's just kind of like they're just waiting for the clock to run out. So, and that's kind of the vibe that I've had in this matchup here in the third period. But I hope that the Kraken can get one more for pride at least. Oh, fight. Oh, yeah. Let them fight. We're already pissed off wearing these fucking amazing jerseys and we're getting our ass kicked at home. Oh, Kurt Warner? Nice. I was thinking about Zuccarello. I mean, it was like four of them. So 2-minute minor for tripping, but I mean, there was a scrum. You couldn't really see everyone that was in there because it was like a big circle of guys. Let's see if they show the replay. Yeah, Zuccarello started it, pushed him from behind, and then now you got like a couple guys hugging each other, and then a couple guys throwing punches. Nice. I was thinking about watching Swamp Kings again if I wanted to be able to get some motivation, but I'll probably wait for like to watch that again. Right before the college football season starts up again. That would be a good time for me to watch it. But chances are I'll probably watch it in summertime again. I like the intensity, and you're always going to get a little bit of scandal and a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but um, and they didn't even include all of the scandal and the crazy shit that happened during that Florida Gator run for Urban Meyer. But I enjoyed the Swamp Kings, and I imagine there's a few more things I need to watch. I watched the Barry Sanders one, Swamp Kings. I remember what other one I watched after that, but Johnny Football, Barry Sanders, and then Swamp Kings. Those are the last three, documentary style programs that I've watched. 5-2 Wild, 4-on-4, less than 4 minutes to go. Wild is going to get this dub. So I'm looking at tomorrow. There's not really a whole lot going on. So it's either going to be the Mariner game, possibly, and all the NHL matchups. Most of them are going to be Kraken doesn't play tomorrow, and there's only one 5 o'clock game, and a lot of them are between noon and 3. So like Flyers, Penguins at 12:30 on TNT, and then nice save. I mean, Hornets, Blazers at 6 p.m. But I mean, the basketball is really hard to watch right now. So I mean, maybe the Blazer game, maybe the Mariners at noon. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to think about it tonight, and then we'll figure out what we decide to do for tomorrow. But Mariners, random hockey game, or a Blazer game. So I guess those will be our choices. But no Kraken stream tomorrow. So, and then there's like some decent matchups. But again, like there's like one Kraken matchup, but it's or one good hockey matchup, but it's like 10 a.m. So it's like if I'm going to stream, again, Lightning Devils is good, but that's at 10 a.m. I mean, how realistic is it if I do that stream that I'm going to get a bunch of people showing up and I'm going to hit my dono goal? Probably not. I don't think the first thing that people are going to do is wake up and think, oh, I need to watch this fucking stream at 10 a.m. and donate money to ODog. Probably not going to happen at 10 a.m. People are just fucking waking up. I wish that was everyone's mindset. Hey, I just woke up. Let's hang out with ODog and let me donate to him. But that's not realistic. So not at 10 a.m. Some people are just hungover. Some people are going to church. Some people got jobs. People are doing shit, and it's just not a good time slot. 10 a.m. to stream is not good unless it's like an NFL game. So yeah, I'm thinking I may do the Mariners because I mean, if it's like I don't really want to do NBA, and there's not really anything during the hockey time slot either. So it's like take the day off, or maybe do the Mariners. So I mean, it's like I don't want to hit a zero, but I mean, I am planning on doing a lot of Mariners in the year. It's just I just don't really like the time slot, but I would rather put in the work than do nothing. So I guess it also depends on who's playing tomorrow. So if I see like Julio in the lineup tomorrow, oh yeah, we're doing the Mariners tomorrow at noon. But I'll have to look at the lineup and see what the lineup looks like. I mean, of course, we're gonna have a lot of single A, double A, triple A, and a bunch of garbage out there, but still, it's Mariners. It's spring training. It's something to do to hang out for a couple hours in the day, and then we'll look at hockey, baseball, basketball Monday through Friday, and then we'll decide from there. And then obviously, if Castillo is playing on Monday, maybe I do that on Monday. But it's all about time slot too. I would prefer to do 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock streams because that'll give the best chance of the most people showing up. But I guess if we have to sprinkle in some Mariners at noon, then so be it. But I can only take so many streams at a very low number before it starts affecting, my bottom line. And I got to be able to be smart about it too. Can't do 5 Mariner streams at noon and be at 0 or 1 or 0 or 2 or 5. Like I can't live off 5 streams at $10 total. That's not smart. So well, it doesn't look like we're going to get to 3. Got about 20 seconds left, and we're down 5-2 still. Oh, we got dropping the gloves. They're letting them fight finally. Duhame. They didn't last as long in that fight that I wanted, though. Well, crap. A shutout with Decord, right, which was awesome in the Winter Classic against the Vegas Golden Knights, and just us getting our ass kicked by Minnesota here at home. Embarrassing. Wearing an awesome jersey and then getting your ass kicked, that's not good. Oregon. Get him, Borgen. Fight him. Bang, bang, bang. Face punches. All right. 8 seconds left of this debacle. Yeah, appreciate the support. But after the NFL and college football ends, I got to keep going. So, whether that be baseball, basketball, hockey, wrestling, we got to keep it moving. So, and that's it. Final score: Minnesota Wild 5, Seattle Kraken 2. I love you guys, and I appreciate you guys very, very much. Keep up on your mental health. We'll probably do the Mariners stream tomorrow early. Amazing looking jerseys for the Kraken, but we just couldn't get the dub today. This one hurt a little bit, but it was fun talking football as well as sports and wrestling and hockey. If you didn't get a chance to watch Elimination Chamber, watch it. It's worth the watch. And then the Mariners ended up losing today, but maybe they can end up getting the dub tomorrow. And I will post tomorrow morning what we're going to end up doing, obviously for the streams. But hopefully it'll be a better outcome than the 7-8 loss, 8-7 loss that we had against the White Sox. We play, obviously tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better. But I will let you guys know. Shout out to all the people that donated, commented, shared. I love you, and I appreciate you very, very much. Reflect, appreciate you, Sarah, Matt, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. And I got one question for you. Well, talk sports like us, your boy Ryan, Northwest Sports Fanatic. CG, I ain't forget about you either. Love you guys, and I appreciate you guys. Reflect, Matt, Sarah, CG, everybody. I love you. Appreciate you. And I'm out. Okay.